In this video we're going to look at the power clean and the full, or the squat clean as it's sometimes known. Both these exercises consist of quickly and forcefully pulling the bar to the front of the shoulders all in one movement. Now the difference between the two, with the power clean here, when I catch the bar my hips stay above my knees, i.e. the knee angle stays above 90 degrees. You can see that here, catch the bar my hips stay above my knees. And now with the full clean, when I catch the bar, my hips go below my knees, i.e. the joint angle of the knee goes below 90 degrees. Now the technique for both of these lifts is actually very similar, so we'll start with the power clean and then break it down into its various stages. Okay, once we're in a starting position, we've got the first pull, then the transition, the second pull, and then the catch. Now in reality, these phases occur in one continuous movement without any interruption. And you can see that if we play it here at full speed, okay, each stage is over with very quickly. So we're going to break it down for coaching purposes into its constituent parts and look at them in a bit more detail. So in order to get into a good starting position, I'm going to approach the bar and place my feet underneath it, roughly between hip and shoulder width apart. The toes can point ever so slightly outwards. As you look down, the bar is just going to be above the bottom part of the laces on your shoes. I then squat down with my hips lower than my shoulders and grasp the bar with a closed overhand grip. I place my hands on the bar slightly wider than shoulder width apart, just outside of the knees with the elbows fully extended. I then make sure my back is flat or slightly arched. Shoulders are relaxed and pulled back with the chest held up and out. It's also important to ensure that the shoulders are aligned over the bar or slightly in front of it. And here you can just see that position from the front. So I initiate the power clean with the first pull. I'm going to lift the bar off the floor by forcefully extending the hips and the knees. As I do this, I'm going to make sure I maintain a flat back position, and I'm going to keep the torso to floor angle constant throughout, so I don't let the hips rise up before the shoulders. Throughout this phase, I'm going to keep the elbows fully extended and the shoulders over or slightly ahead of the bar, and as the bar is raised, I'm going to keep it as close to the shins as possible. Now the transition is just a slight movement that allows me to go from that essentially deadlift maneuver into a more upright stance ready for the second pull. As the bar rises above the knees, I'm going to thrust the hips forward and slightly reflex the knees to move the thighs against and the knees under the bar. During this phase, I'm going to keep the back flat or slightly arched and the elbows fully extended and pointing out to the sides. Now the second pull is the really explosive phase of the lift. I forcefully jump upwards in this phase by quickly extending the hips and the knees and plantar flexing the ankles. I'm going to keep the bar as close to the body as possible, keep my back flat and elbows pointing out to the sides, and also keep the shoulders over the bar and the elbows extended as long as possible. Now when the lower body joints reach their full extension, I'm going to rapidly shrug the shoulders upwards with the elbows still fully extended. And as the shoulders reach their highest elevation, I'm going to flex the elbows to begin pulling the body underneath the bar. And continue this pulling motion for as long as possible. Now, due to the explosive nature of this phase, the feet may lose contact with the floor. Now, once the bar has reached its highest elevation, I'm going to continue pulling the body under the bar and rotate the arms around and underneath the bar. Now this is a dynamic move, so I want to get my body under the bar as quickly as possible. So to assist this, at the same time, I'm going to be simultaneously flexing my hips and my knees. So once the arms are under the bar, I'm going to keep rotating the elbows around until the upper arms are parallel to the floor. And the bar at the finish is racked across the front of the shoulders. I also want to make sure when I catch the bar, I do so with a neatly erect torso, and the shoulders are going to be slightly ahead of the hips. Now it's a case of just standing up by extending the hips and knees to a fully erect position. So the key points to remember really is to keep your shoulders over the bar as long as possible, elbows extended as long as possible. And when you start to flex them, keep them pointed out. Make sure you bring your body under the bar. On the return, just make sure you do the reverse essentially of the way up. So rotate your elbows back around the bar and then lowering it back down under control with a nice straight back. Now, as mentioned before, with the full clean, we're going to finish that catch position with our knees bent below 90 degrees. And you're mainly going to do this as a result of lifting a heavier weight, or if you just want to practice that full clean motion. So virtually everything is the same with the full clean that is with the power clean. The main difference comes in on that second pull. When we talk about the power clean, we try to pull our body underneath the bar. Now, with the full clean, you're just going to continue this motion a bit longer. So you pull yourself down into that front squat position, and that's where you're going to catch the bar. And you can see why, if we're lifting heavier weights, it's necessary to do this. We're not going to be able to get the bar as high with a heavier weight, so instead we have to pull ourselves underneath it and then stand upright as before.